Everybody, this is Alessandro. Welcome back to my channel. So there is a chance that if you watch my channel, watch this video, you're interested to working in the gaming industry, right? And there is sometimes a couple of things that can happen once in a while. One of them, it could be that you're interested to work in games, but you don't know where to specialize because there are so many things in game: modeling, animation, rigging, texturing, programming, blah blah blah. You just want to work in games, but you don't know exactly where you should focus, right? Another things that can happen, you maybe already tried, maybe you try already to study as animator, modeler or something, for whatever reason didn't work out, you realize you were not very talented in that and you're a bit demotivated, but as ideally still you would like to work in games. So what I was thinking today, why I don't make a list and I share with you with most of the role and kind of type of job that are happening in a game company, because my purpose of this video is like maybe this will spark something new where like maybe you find out there is a kind of a job you didn't know about it, you feel like you can have some kind of a talent you might enjoy and you want to pursue that. All right, so one disclaimer: first of all of the job that I'm going to mention, keep in mind there are always different tiers of job, like junior, mid-level, senior, principal, lead, supervisor, director, blah 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 blah. Okay, I'm not going to mention all of them every time or else we're going to stay here until for the next 40 minutes. Okay, I want to make it sharp and quick. All right, and yeah, here we go. I have the list with me. I will go with the very first one that it's very close to me, which is animation. Okay, so animation usually is not just about animating character, it's subdivided in different category. All right, so you have gameplay animator, for example, and this kind of speaks for itself. You do the animation for gameplay mechanic. You have animator for cinematic, who is more in charge of the cinematic. All right, cleaning, motion capture, on doing keyframe depending of the project, just focusing on facial animation. Sometimes again, some project they have basically the body done, you just have to focus on facial. You have creature animation. Now some games that have a lot of creature, quadruped, stuff like that, and they need animator specialized fully on creature animation. So maybe if character animation is not your thing, that's another option. There is the layout and the previous department, for example, where you need to be in charge of the camera and create the camera sequence, creating the cut and stuff like that. Okay, that eventually will be passed later on the animation department. There are the technical animator who usually are in charge of, for gameplay animation, they're in charge of integrating those animation in game and make them happen under a certain condition, because animation in game then don't just happen like this just because you make them. They need to be played after a certain condition, and technical animators sometimes they will help to integrate and make the logic of those ones. Speaking of motion capture, there are motion capture artists, actor, stuntman. Again, even there it's divided in different categories. Who is more focused on the acting, who's more focused on the stunt. Okay, that are a little bit more physical, could be a little bit more dangerous. All right, so again, there is a different category. Animation director, of course, who is in charge of the entire animation department. Storyboard artist, who will do the storyboard, the drawing for a cinematic that will be passed to the pre-visualization layout department, and they will be in charge of doing it from 2D to 3D. Okay, then you have the rigger, for example. All right, so when you do a character model, when you do a 3D model, you cannot just animate it like this. Rigger are in charge of creating the skeleton, creating controller, so animator can go ahead and make their magic. All right, then when it comes to modeling, again, you have so many departments. You have character modeler in charge of character, creature modeler, that's the same thing as animation, focus on creature. Could be vehicle modeler, right? If you're working on a game like Grand Theft Auto, a lot of vehicles, you need people specialized in vehicle model. Same for weapon, like a game like Cyberpunk, who has a lot of weapon, you will have people specialized in making awesome weapon. You have environment artists in charge of the entire environment, prop artists who are in charge of creating props like trees, a trash bin or whatever. They're in charge of the individual prop, right? And let me go again. And then you have the designer, character designer, vehicle designer, concept artists, or basically are in charge of doing the 2D cons for these specific things. Character design is in charge of character, who does the model sheets and everything for the character. Same for the vehicle. Concept artists in general, they will do the concept of the environment, of the ambience, just to feel the mood, right? And then again, you have to do the texture for the model, the shader, lighting and material, right? When you have a scene, when you have an environment, you need to be in charge of the lighting. How do you gonna light a room, a sequence, right? So there are people specifically in charge of this one. We have level designer, okay? So when it comes to a level, an environment is not just about making something pretty, right? You need a design that guide the player through certain level. You want to decide where you put certain enemy. You're gonna put a sniper here, you're gonna put another enemy here, where the animation gets triggered, all those things, right? So you need someone actually design the level, almost like a labyrinth, right? So that kind of things, maybe we just with a block, and then they will take the props of the actual done by the environment artist and put them in the level to make it look really, really nice. Then obviously we have writers, right? Someone needs to write the story, needs to write the script, needs to write those quests, dialogue for NPC. We have quest designer. Someone needs to create those quests and say, hey, what this quest is about. You start here, you talk with this character has this background, this character tells you to go here, you have an encounter here, you go to this location, you do this, someone needs to do all this, right? Then we have the localization language. Well, there is an entire department in charge of localization, because games are being translated in multiple language. There are people who give their voice, to do the voiceover for different languages as well, translating. Again, as you can imagine, even this department has a lot of other jobs. Then you have HR, of course, that is in charge of hiring people. And again, it's not just one person or two people just hiring. It's a huge department, and it's in charge of the whole hiring and taking care of the employee. Then we have visual effects like explosion, particles, everything related to effect, sound effect when it comes to noise about object, when you walk on a ground, when you attack, when you hit an object or whatever, ambience effect or something. Music, okay, for music again, huge department. It's not just by one person. In some cases they may have their own orchestra playing the music, right? So if you are a musician into music, that's another thing you want to keep in consideration. Then there is a cloth effect, cloth simulation, hair effects, right? Simulation of design of the hair. All these, sometimes they have specific people in charge of doing only those things for all the characters into the game. And then of course you have game designer in charge of creating the design of a certain feature of the game. And then you have the game director, overseeing the entire vision of the game. You have producer, coordinator, project manager, all people making sure that we have a deadline, we respect the budget, they coordinate people and teams, because when the teams are so big, you have 1,000 people, it's very easy to miss communication between those people. So it's important that you have coordinator, project manager who can help to do all this and keep everything in order. Very important. Then you have the open world design, people in charge of designing the open world with multiple areas that connect to each other. UX and UI designer and programmer in charge of the interface. Then again, we are starting to go more on outside of the artistic level, more about programming. There is AI programmer in charge of the AI, animation programmer, engine developer and programmer in charge of the tool and the engine, because in games you need to use an engine, and you need technical people who know how to build around this engine, or give you feature, or just working on in case artists need support. Gameplay programmers about the gameplay, rendering and graphic programmer. You have tool programmer in charge of writing tools, technical artist, QA. QA again, it could be in charge of QA for graphics, cinematic, narrative, anything, right? Then you have tester, of course, very important, because you want to make sure your game doesn't have bug, or at least the least amount of bug and stuff like that. So you need people constantly to test your feature and your game. Narrative, there are people in charge of overseeing the story and make sure if there is a role and everything is very cohesive, right? Very important when you have an IP with multiple projects. You want to make sure things are always very cohesive from one project to another. Marketing, another huge department. Video editing, creative director, art director. IT, again, big department, needs to be in charge of everything is working computer wise, because of that we wouldn't be able to do anything. It would be just a bunch of artists scribbling and not game. System administration, technician, financial department, everything related to financial, accounting, tax, stuff like that. Lawyer, yes, company needs a lawyer as well. And so guys, you're getting the point, and I'm pretty sure I'm missing something, and I apologize if I missed someone's role. Not disrespect here, I try my best to list the one that I knew. And guys, as you can see, there is plenty of jobs in the gaming industry. If you really want to work, you only have to choose wherever you go. I'm pretty sure you can almost find something that fits you. But another thing that people are wondering is, okay, Alessandro, you told me 50 different kind of jobs. How do I know which one it's suitable for me? So, well, there is something that you could do, and I did at the beginning. So when at the beginning I wanted to work in games, I had no idea. Yes, I had a background of animation, but I didn't know if it would translate very well into game, because back then game animation wasn't that interesting. I'm talking about 20 years ago. So I wanted to try a bit of everything. So what did I do? Downloaded Maya, 3ds Max. Back then YouTube wasn't there, so I had to open the software and figure out things by myself. I bought a few really bad books that slowly helped me. But basically guys, I did everything. I did modeling, rigging, texturing, lighting, rendering, animation, camera, simulation. I try a little bit of everything until I realized I was enjoying the most when it comes to rigging, character animation, and camera. So more or less I specialized first in rigging, because at the beginning I wasn't that good as animator, but then slowly I transitioned to animation. All right, so that's what I do. The software is there. You can have the software almost for free today, I think, or maybe you have to pay a small subscription. But the tools are there. You just have to go there, study, and try, and work really hard, because it's not gonna be easy. The software can be very intimidating, especially if you wanna try a little bit of everything. And again, it took me, I remember, a couple of years till I learned the software very well. Until I found out, hey, this is something I like. I want to specialize in this one. I didn't do modeling for a week before I realized it wasn't the thing. I tried for like 4 months or something. So I really put my effort, and this is something sometimes I feel like people don't really want to do. In my opinion, this is very important. If you don't enjoy so much only about the art side, but you still want to do something about it, then what you can do, you can work in the engine, even beside doing the model, the prop, the character, stuff like that. But you still want to touch the engine part. Again, you can download the real engine and try all the things. You can try level design, AI, integrating animation. Again, even there are a bunch of things, simulation, lighting, plenty of things you can do directly in the engine. And again, you have to download it, you have to learn, watch the video, buy some tutorials, stuff like that, and learn from it. And the good things, guys, is that most of the job that I listed here, you don't even need a master degree on anything, right? Most of the artists that I knew, some of them, they have some generic art background. Many of them, like me, didn't have a master degree, and they still managed to get a good job, to get a career. Some of them really went really high. But again, you're on your own. You need to find a way to study and to learn, okay? Like follow YouTube channel, find a mentor who will teach you. School, I always tell you to be careful, because my personal opinion, there are always a lot of schools that teach a bit of everything that you could potentially learn by yourself, and are very expensive and not very good. So maybe my recommendation is always figure it out by yourself first what you want to focus, and then you can regroup and find out what is the best way to study. Maybe you can find a mentor or something. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you next time. Ciao.